If you have a 6-year-old daughter and you're in West Africa and you think she may have Ebola, are you going to answer the question honestly? Absolutely. Or are you going to come to the United States? I'm coming to the United States to try to save my daughter.
I have a couple of different questions here. One is whether systems broke down, and it's clear that you can look at isolated systems and say they broke down. It's one thing for the U.S. to say we're going to send all of these mobile military hospitals to set up in Monrovia, but it turns out there's no infrastructure there to get them set up. There's systems that break down. But the question you're asking is whether it's the term that Dr. Frieden used, the index of suspicion, whether that expands to everything. I don't know that that Americans turn and automatically look to their government and say, fix this the way we think they do. If they're suspicious of government in all these other ways, then they also aren't expecting government to have...
they're suspicious.
Let's just one thing. One case of Ebola in the United States, right? One. 3,000 people dead in West Africa, which we weren't talking about last week. So all of a sudden we are panicked.
And by the way, every warning case, every case. Well, we don't. And obviously we have a math issue.
One case is a tipping point,
and everyone is connected.
I'm sorry, it's growing to such a level in West Africa that now is when you would start saying. As Kent Brantley said, a guy who knows something about this because he had it. He said this is a fire from hell, and if you think that the Atlantic Ocean is going to stop it from coming over here, you're kidding yourself.
But David, you're the community.
I don't want to disagree with Dr. Scarborough, but I have some faith. I understand. But here's
Joe, let's
Tom
David jump in
Frieden, Tony Fauci at the NIH. These are public health professionals of world-class standing. They have no motivation to mislead the American people. They've dealt with many epidemics before, many health issues before. I don't think there's a reason to believe that they're not doing what needs to be done. And I will say this about the jaundice issue. I sat on this very set. It wasn't as nice, but in the spring of 2010, and we talked about the oil leak in the Gulf, and everyone said, this is Obama's Katrina, things are out of control, the government's broken down. You know, it wasn't even mentioned in the 2012 election because ultimately it was dealt with. So I suggest we look back 6 months from now.
No, I understand.
And review this discussion, and I suspect what we're going to say is, gee, that wasn't what we thought.
But David, the problem, for the White House right now is they have to make sure people don't panic because we can't have our public health facilities flooded. I mean, I brought up flu season for a reason because the symptoms are almost identical and we could see a total crush on the system.
What is our responsibility in creating and fomenting?
Well, that's...
But the government...
What's our responsibility, though, in asking questions? I don't understand the Dr. Scarborough comment. I'll be really honest with you. This is a serious issue. I'm quoting people that have Ebola, that have spent time in West Africa.
When people like you and people like us go on television and say, this is far worse than they're saying, this is a reason to get...
This is a reason to be...
Okay, guys.
You're hearing things I haven't said, David.
I'm going to hit...
What I was saying is we have to ask tough questions.
I think Chuck just asked tough questions, actually. I thought he did a pretty good job.
Let's do the pause button because you guys have plenty. We're gonna come back. We can continue this discussion between
Chuck, we're trying to help
all four of you. I hear you. I hear you. You're doing great here.